I'm Sherri Ammerman. In August of 2020, I was diagnosed with stage 0 DCIS. So since my mom was always so diligent about getting her annual exams, then I always made it a point to get mine. And I was actually in the process. We were relocating from Illinois down to Louisiana, and I wanted to get all of my doctor's appointments in before we made the move. And so one of those was having my annual mammogram, and during that time is when they discovered something that was of concern, and they did a ultrasound at that point in time, and the ultrasound came back saying that we needed to do a biopsy, and I looked at my doctor and it said, literally, I'm moving in 2 days, so can you get me in? And they said no, because I was moving in 2 days and they didn't want me to do any physical activity. So I packed up with the movers. I called my mother and I said, I need to know who all of your doctors were, because apparently I'm going to be needing some. And we started over when we got here. So at the time that I was being told that I needed some biopsies, of course I was nervous, but truthfully I was just, concerned about getting moved. We had left our 2 girls down in Louisiana with my mother since May, so we had been away from them for 2 months. So my main priority was just getting down to them. We went, I started all of the testing again once I moved down here, and I remember the day vividly when I got the call from Dr. Lagarde's office that, I had shown DCIS, and the conversation was, that I need to wrap my head around that we're doing a mastectomy. So do I want to do one, or do I want to do a double mastectomy? And unfortunately, at the time, I also had a work obligation that was coming up in 5 minutes. So initially, I was just numb. I texted my mother and my husband and said, I just got the call, and I've got the big C. But I don't want to talk about it right now because I have something I have to do for work. And so I finished that and then pulled my husband into the room with me. We called my mother, and we had a discussion about what was happening. So I was very, very numb at the time. I was just thinking about, what do we have to do in order to just get through this, because at the end of the day, what's most important to me are my 2 children and watching them grow up. And so I was ready to do whatever I had to do to make sure that, I was going to be here for that. So DCIS, in some cases, actually doesn't have to have a mastectomy. Unfortunately, I wasn't a candidate because I had a lot of it. I had 5 centimeters, and so we did have to do the mastectomy. And then because it was estrogen positive, then I also had to take tamoxifen, to prevent a local reoccurrence. I potentially could have had to do other treatments. After the initial surgery, the pathology came back showing with not clear margins, so similar to my mother, right? Not clear margins, and some other positive tissues. So I had to go back and have an additional surgery to remove and excise some additional tissue from the breast. If I had not done that second surgery, then I would have ended up having to do some radiation treatments. So my sister, bless her heart, was also very diligent in doing her annual mammograms as well. She's a little more hard-headed though, so when they had called her to do a biopsy, initially she was refusing to do it, and then I had gotten the call, that I had cancer. And so because of that, then we pretty much ran an intervention on my sister and forced her to go and have a biopsy. And at that point, it was 2 weeks later, and it came back and showing that she had cancer as well. So our family, was, I would say, to me, our family was just in, how do we fix this mode, right? So it was, what's next? When are the doctor's appointments? When are we meeting for the surgeons? My mother and sister worked really hard to line her surgery up the same day as mine, so that we were kind of going through it all together. But I feel like that's a family trait, that we just focus on what the problem is and how do we fix the problem, as opposed to getting wrapped up in the emotions. So I think outwardly, that's how we were all doing. I'm sure inwardly, just like myself, when in those moments where nobody else is around and you start breaking down and crying and thinking about what ifs, I'm sure inwardly everybody was struggling with the same thing, but kind of like us, we never show that on the outside. So my sister and I were back-to-back surgery. So I started early in the morning. I got to the hospital for 6:30 in the morning, and my sister went in, I think, around 11 for the same surgery. So fortunately, my sister and I, since we had surgery at the same hospital on the same day, we were in adjoining rooms, side-by-side rooms, which worked out really great because we were able to, again, just be each other's comic relief, through that stay. And I certainly got I would say, some humor. I can't think of the word I'm trying to say, but I certainly got a great laugh of watching the nurses and the hospital staff coming from her room into my room. They were usually a little disheveled after leaving hers. My sister and I had the same medical team. We're very blessed, and it, in some cases, was the same team as my mom. So Dr. Lagarde, was a breast surgeon who handled the mastectomy and did a wonderful job. And Dr. Sullivan was there to do the reconstruction. And again, I can't say enough amazing things, about him as a person, as well as, of course, the reconstruction that he did. He was amazing. So knowing that the doctors are going to be there at the Unite event is truly just a blessing. We couldn't have asked for a better team of surgeons to handle the situation, and all were just so attentive to every question, every concern that we have. And I know that we're just going to have a huge celebration, afterwards. It's I'm trying to think of Dr. Sullivan, but one thing I think Dr. Sullivan will certainly enjoy some great laughs again. He not only just had fun with us during all of our meetings, but apparently feels that my sister was the funniest drugged up person that he's ever had to deal with. I'm truly blessed. Again, thank goodness that this all happened after we had moved down to Louisiana, as opposed to being up in Illinois, where we were, by ourselves up there. So I'm truly blessed to be surrounded by an amazing family. I'll start with my husband, who was with me through everything, every appointment, every phone call and tear, was just a rock and kept our family moving, when I wasn't able to. Having my mother there, who again has already been through all of this, and just having real conversations about what her surgery was like, what her recovery was like, sharing her scars with me. So, I kind of knew what to expect before, actually having to experience it myself. Was amazing. Having my sister there, unfortunately that she had to go through it with me, but again, it turned out to be a blessing because we kept each other motivated and up and moving, and just in great spirits. All of my aunts, who again were tailgating outside of the hospital, I knew they were there, and that again kind of kept my spirits going. I have an amazing best friend who was also a nurse, and so she helped with some of the aftercare after surgery. And then I work for Edward Jones, and it was a wonderful company. They were just concerned about me and what I needed to do to recover. There was never a question about anything else. So I'm truly blessed. I think for me, this whole journey has really helped me understand what's really important in life, and truly what you need to prioritize when it comes to life. And, I have two young, beautiful daughters, and, at the end of the day, what was most important to me was being here to watch them grow up and, watch them get married and celebrate life. And, the rest of this is just things along the journey. And I'm thankful for them, I'm thankful for my family, and I'm thankful for the Lord for watching out for me and ensuring that this was found super early. So, I would just tell anyone that, don't be afraid, just focus on what's most important to you, and that'll help get you through it. I'm Sherri, and this is my story.